Hello, Wolfpack, back here on Bitcoin today, and actually the broader market as well, Ethereum and the total cryptocurrency market cap, because as you guys would know, we are on the edge of a breakout here, coming up towards resistance on Bitcoin. I personally think that breakout is unlikely to happen, right? My prediction on Bitcoin is pretty clear. Let's move this box down. I don't know how it got up there, but it's actually meant to be down here. My prediction on Bitcoin is very clear, and it is that we're going to be heading towards the 200-week SMA. My invalidation point for that prediction is breaking above the 50-week SMA. All right, so I've made that very clear in the past, 4 months? I've been holding that prediction since the end of November when Bitcoin was at about 58K, starting it at around 66K. I initially started taking profits in that region publicly. And so, yeah, I mean, 4 months in, we went all the way down to 33K. We've currently bounced back up to 44, and we're waiting to see what's going to happen next. We have an ascending channel formation, ascending triangle formation here on Bitcoin on the daily chart, which is typically a bullish formation, but we need to consider that, well, there's a few ways you could draw this. You could draw it as a descending triangle. You could also draw it as a symmetrical triangle. And in both cases, you haven't broken out yet. You could also get away with drawing this as an ascending wedge even. And you could do something like this. And in that case, you'd have 4 touches, just like with the ascending triangle formation. You'd have the same amount of invalidations as well, because we'd have wicks above the ascending wedge formation in the same amount of times as well. You could also get away with drawing it as an ascending channel formation. Okay, so saying that this is an ascending triangle formation, and that's the reason we're going to break to the upside, is very, very, very sketchy ground, because it's not really a confirmed ascending triangle formation. That's how I'm drawing it at this point in time. I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt. And even with that said, there's no confirmation that it's going to be breaking out to the upside. And I don't think that's likely. Like, as I said, I think we're going to go down towards the 200-week SMA. That green line there on the weekly chart at around 20K currently. By the time we get there, I think we'll be at 24K, and I think that's going to be in November. That's based off the 4-year cycle theory, and this is the 4-year cycle theory here. Let me bring it up to you and show you quickly. I do this every video, just briefly go into it, and then I'll get into some unique analysis here. But this is the 4-year cycle. Every time we lose the 50-week, we go down to the 200. The 200-week SMA is the macro bottom for Bitcoin. It's bottomed out in the 200 5 separate times. It's never closed a weekly candle below the 200-week SMA. Every bear market, it goes there and tests it at least twice, okay? Tested it twice here in 2015. It tested it twice in 2018, with one test in 2018 and one test in the COVID drop. Okay, so there's no reason to believe we can't go there again. And if we go there again, according to this trend in which I've picked up on date ranges, that would take us to about November. You can pause the video here and have a look at this trend. Very easy to identify. That would take us to about November. So somewhere in that region, 24K in November, we would expect is going to happen for Bitcoin according to the 4-year cycle theory. Right? If anything else happens, if we break above the 50-week SMA, that would be an invalidation of the 4-year cycle theory to a certain extent, and that would be very unique. It has not happened before, and we can't expect it to happen now, because everything and every fibrable whatever the word is, every structure in the fiber of technical analysis is based off historical trends, okay? And so assuming something that has not happened before is going to happen is going against the whole premise of technical analysis. You may as well not do technical analysis at that point, right? Until we break above the 50-week SMA, we're destined to go to the 200, and at this point, we have no reason to believe we're going to break above it, because it hasn't happened before at this stage in any cycle on Bitcoin, and we've had 3 separate cycles, okay? That's just the reality of the situation right now for Bitcoin. Now, in terms of a daily chart, we've closed again just below resistance here. Resistance is currently sitting at 44.5K. That's the major resistance for which we need to close above. We haven't actually been able to close above that once since the drop down into this range. In fact, we've rejected from it 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is the 5th time if we reject from it here. So this is very, very, very strong resistance, and no one's denying that at this point. But people are getting bullish way too soon. Why would you get bullish right now when we're at a region in which we've rejected from 4 separate times in the last 2 months, when you can just wait for a 5% gain on Bitcoin and then buy in? Is the buying in now really worth that risk? I mean, we've done it 5 times before. We rejected all of those times. So why is now different? There's no reason. The answer is there's no reason. And the answer is really based on the fact that, well, it doesn't even look strong if you look at the TA, okay? Other than the fact that we've gone up, there's nothing else that's really looking strong. Well, let's look at that for a second. Well, yeah, sure, we've broken a few, SMAs and EMAs, some of which we haven't broken before. But I mean, we broke the 50-day over here on the last 3 attempts. We still crashed. We broke the 21 EMA. We still crashed. The only thing we've broken this time it's different than the other times is the 100 SMA, which by no means is not a bad thing. But the point is, Now, for the first time, we're testing bull market support, other than the last attempt, and that's very bearish as well. So there's a very likely chance of rejection. There's nothing here that's indicating to me that a bullish breakout is coming. And another thing we can look at is volume. What you'll notice is that if you stop the video here, you can see on each of these failed attempts, we had descending volume, descending green volume, okay? Right now, we're seeing the same thing, and we're seeing it more prevalently and more prominently than we have before. Descending green volume in an upwards trend. What does that represent? It represents the fact that we're running out of steam, we're running out of momentum going into resistance. Less and less people are willing to buy at the higher prices, which means there's going to be less chance there's going to be enough people to buy to overcome the bears and break through resistance. That is the simple facts of the situation right now. Bitcoin looks weak going into resistance. Does that mean it can't break through? Not necessarily. It certainly can break through. It just doesn't seem likely, right? And if it does break through and we come up and we close a weekly candle above the 50-week SMA at 46K currently, then we can talk about something. We can talk about a bearish scenario. We can talk a bullish scenario. We can talk about something like that. But as of right now, nothing that hasn't happened before is happening, right? Even in 2018, if we go back to 2018, we lost the 50-week SMA. Look, we lost the 50-week SMA here. We went below, we swooped back up, we tested it on a weekly candle, came all the way up to the 50-week, tested it, and then rejected downwards and went down to the bear market bottom. What are we doing right now? Okay, in a very similar time frame, by the way, and in a very similar market structure. We've come all the way down below the 50-week. We're coming all the way up, and we're testing it right now. And if we reject from it at 46K, that's going to be a sign that we're going to be coming crashing down towards the 200, just like in 2018. There's nothing that's happening right now that didn't happen in 2018. And if you haven't seen the fractal from 2018, the fractal is extremely compelling. It's extremely similar. I've just torn it out so you guys can see it very quickly. I tore this fractal straight from the region I just circled, applied it straight to the current price action. This is a direct fractal from 2018. Look at that. Absolutely astonishingly similar. That goes into the point I just said 3 times. Nothing is happening right now that didn't happen in 2018. What happened at the time of this fractal in 2018? We tested the 50-week. What are we doing right now? We're testing the 50-week. What did we do in 2018? Rejected from the 50-week. What are we going to do right now? Most likely, not certain, but most likely, reject from the 50-week. Given the fact there are so many similarities between 2018 and 2021 or 2022 right now, we need to be able to go further than that and be able to predict, well, when is this breakdown going to happen? When is this massive crash down to these levels going to happen? We've already said it's going to happen and bottom out around November, but when is the main majority of the price action going to happen? What happened in 2018, and this is, again, we're basing it because it's very similar to current price action, is that when on the 3-day chart, the 50 SMA and the 200 SMA, not the weekly, the 3-day chart, the 50 SMA and the 200 SMA crossed, and the 50 crossed below the 200, we saw a massive crash on Bitcoin down to the lows, okay? Now, on Bitcoin right now, we're seeing very similar things happen. You can see that in 2018, we saw this convergence and we saw a cross. Right now, we're converging rapidly and the cross is coming shortly. If we were to predict where that cross is going to come, all we need to do is zoom in, and this is going to be a rough prediction. Obviously, we can't account for price action that's going to happen soon. Draw a straight trend line across and just assume it's going to play out like this. Again, it's hard to tell exactly. And assume that cross is going to be happening somewhere in May. Somewhere in May, that cross is going to be happening, and hence somewhere in May, we can expect a big crash downwards on Bitcoin based off that theory. Now, as you were able to see there, Bitcoin has just rejected from resistance on the daily chart. Well, it hasn't been able to break through, at least. I wouldn't say it's rejected yet, but it hasn't been able to break through. And at the same time, both Ethereum, as you can see here, on its wedge formation, closing just below the wedge, and the total cryptocurrency market cap have closed just below their resistance as well. The whole market, the entire cryptocurrency market, is literally probably 0.5% away from a breakout right now. The entire market, not one single major asset is not, right? Total cryptocurrency market cap, Ethereum and Bitcoin, probably less than 1% away from a breakout. Yet they are seeing weakness across the board, yet they are unable to break through, and yet this has happened before on 3 separate occasions and 4 separate occasions for Bitcoin. Why is this time different? That's the question I asked to you. Now, I would recommend you guys be careful. Obviously keep an eye on the charts. Obviously a breakout, again, can certainly happen, but you need to be waiting for that confirmation because right now is the most risky time you can possibly buy. You are buying at the peak, the potential peak. According to 4-year cycle, according to a 14-year long trend, according to the TA on Bitcoin, according to the TA on Ethereum and total cryptocurrency market cap, there really isn't much right now that is suggesting that this is going to be good price action. But let's see what happens. Again, I'm just reiterating the points I've said in the previous videos. It's necessary because right now we're at a critical moment, and within the next few days, I would expect this decision to be made. We're going into the weekend. The weekend typically has a low volume. The weekend typically is quite red. But generally speaking as well, the weekend is typically a time in which not really much happens in the market. And so, could we see a weekend correction? I don't know. It's speculation. But I would say correction regardless is more likely here. I would be surprised if Bitcoin breaks above 46K. I've seen more dramatic things happen, in my time in trading. I've seen more, unlikely things play out, but it would be surprising. As of right now, I'm sticking to my bearish prediction. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Sorry for repeating so much information. It is necessary to repeat. I'm trying to get the word out because I know a lot of people are at risk here of overexposing themselves in a potentially very bearish situation. It is of the utmost importance that I just speak about the topic as much as possible. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.